Oops, you're off the guest list, my sister said in a voicemail as 72 guests toasted at my parents' $17,000 party. Completely paid by me. I got no invite. No credit. 10 minutes later, my mom texted, accidentally removed. Calm down, we saved you leftovers. I replied, noted. That same night, I made one transfer, sent 2 emails. 48 hours later, 53 missed calls, and a sealed envelope showed up? Can you imagine spending $17,000 on your parents' anniversary party, only to get a voicemail from your own sister laughing, "Oops, you're out of the guest list"? My blood ran cold that night, but what she didn't know was that their little joke was about to burn their entire world down. It was supposed to be a celebration. My parents' 30th anniversary. I had poured my heart and my bank account into making it perfect. $17,000 wired straight from my savings. The planner, the caterer, the venue, even that ridiculously specific custom cake shaped like the cabin where they got engaged. Every single penny. 72 guests, all there, clinking champagne flutes, posting endless stories. I saw it all unfold on social media. My dad twirling my mom on the rented dance floor, a slow-motion boomerang of pure joy. And then there was Jessica, my sister, holding the mic, giving a toast. To love, to resilience, to real family, she declared, her voice ringing out to a room full of people, a room I wasn't in. I was sitting on my balcony, dressed and ready, a bottle of red wine, my gift still in its bag by my feet. Then her voicemail hit. Oops, you're out of the guest list, Jessica said, her voice sugary sweet, almost amused, like this was just some silly, adorable mix-up. My name, the one who funded the whole damn thing, somehow missing? 10 minutes later, my phone buzzed again. A text from Mom. Not an apology, not an explanation. Just accidentally removed. Relax. We saved you leftovers. Leftovers. Like I was some stray dog they'd forgotten to feed. Like I was an afterthought. A mistake quickly corrected. I stared at that message, the words blurring. No sorry, no real explanation. Just leftovers. Like I didn't exist. Like my presence, my money, meant so little that it could just be accidentally removed. My wine warmed in the bag. I sat there, picturing the room I wasn't in. My father laughing. My mother, with that performative nod she gave when she wanted everyone to know she approved. And Jessica, in that emerald dress she'd pretended she couldn't afford, the one I'd transferred her money for just last month. No invite for me. No name drop. Not even a single mention in the slideshow. When I finally replied, I kept it short. One word. Understood. That same night, I made one transfer and sent 2 emails. 48 hours later, my phone had 53 missed calls, and a sealed envelope addressed to my parents arrived at their front door. It had my name on the back, and inside, something that would make them stop laughing for good. This didn't start with the party, you know. It started with a habit, a pattern. Jessica would call at odd hours. Hey, I forgot rent. Can you cover? Mom would text. Dad's meds aren't covered this month. You're the only one who can help. And every single time I said yes, it became less of a favor and more of an expectation. For 3 long years, I wired money every month like it was some subscription I never signed up for. Jessica's credit cards, Mom's insurance, Dad's car repairs. They even had a code for it now handled. Anytime there was a crisis, big or small, someone would just say, "Don't worry, it's handled." And that meant me. I didn't even realize how deep it went until one night I checked my email and saw a confirmation for a $4,800 transfer I didn't authorize. It was for the party venue, the one I had booked months ago. My name, my card. No thanks, no heads up, just used. When I confronted Jessica, her response was chilling. Of course you'll pay. You always do. She said it like it was a compliment, like it was my duty. Then came the Facebook post, the one that truly flipped everything sideways. A photo of my parents under the chandelier, glowing. Jessica tagged everyone she knew, even people I barely knew. Her caption, "Happy anniversary to the couple who taught us what real family looks like." And then a comment, "Wow, didn't think your brother was still around." Jessica's reply, "He's not really. He's not really." I didn't reply to that. I didn't reply to the dozens of relatives who reposted the photos without tagging me, as if I didn't exist. I just let the silence stretch, let it grow teeth. And then the family group chat. A cousin posted some dumb meme about freeloaders. Jessica, ever the opportunist, chimed in. "Wish I could afford to freeload." Oh wait, some people do. My mom then typed, "Jessica, that's enough," but she didn't delete it. And no one, not a single soul, defended me. Aunt Sarah sent a crying laughing emoji. Uncle Jeff, bless his heart, replied, "Well, he was always sensitive." Sensitive? Sensitive? Let me tell you what sensitive looks like. Sensitive is staying up until 2 a.m. redoing my dad's taxes for the third year in a row because he didn't understand how to file online. Sensitive is wiring Jessica $600 for textbooks, only to see her post an Instagram story with a brand new designer bag the next day. Sensitive is calling my mom from the emergency room after my appendix ruptured and hearing her say, "Oh, honey, well, keep us updated. We're about to sit down for dinner." It just kept building. And then one day, I found something that shifted everything. A random Dropbox link. Jessica had sent it to the wrong email, mine instead of Mom's. Inside were invoices, catering, sound system, Jessica's makeup artist, even her dress. All marked, paid by Eli. That's me. And at the bottom of a PDF, a tiny note. Don't mention the money. He likes feeling useful. I sat back in my chair. That was the first crack. The second crack? A message forwarded to me by accident. My dad in a private chat with my uncle. He's soft. That's why we keep him close. Soft wallets are useful. Soft wallet. I didn't react. Not out loud. I just started saving everything. Screenshots, emails, chat logs, and then the voicemail. Jessica again. "Oops, you're out of the guest list." She laughed, a sound like glass breaking, pretending it was an accident. And Mom's text about leftovers. Leftovers. But the third crack, the one that shattered something deep inside me, came from someone I didn't expect. My friend Jordan, the web designer I'd hired to build the family bakery website. He sent me a screenshot, a conversation with Jessica. Jessica, he doesn't need credit. It was Mom's idea anyway. Jordan. But he paid for the domain, the hosting, all of it. Jessica, yeah. And we'll keep using his card until he notices. That night, I logged into the server, changed the admin password, took down the site. I left one message on the homepage. Temporarily unavailable due to unpaid debts. Please contact the account holder for assistance. 2 hours later, Jessica called 16 times. I didn't answer. The next morning, my phone buzzed with an email alert. New device login attempt from unfamiliar location. IP address traced to Jessica's home. She tried to reset my password. 2 hours after that, I got a call from an unknown number. I let it go to voicemail. It was Dad's voice, cold clipped. "You made your choice. Don't expect us to play nice anymore." That's when I knew. This wasn't family. This was a business transaction, and I was the open wallet. They'd just overdraft. So I made a transfer. Not to them. Away from them. I sent the full archive. The screenshots, the bank statements, the email logs, the recordings to 2 people. One was my lawyer. The other was someone who owed me a favor, my father's former business partner. And I wrote one sentence under the files. "I'm done funding the fantasy." They still don't know what's coming, but they're about to find out. They called it a family reconciliation dinner. As if that word, reconciliation, could bleach the blood off their hands. The invite came from Mom. A carefully crafted message. Let's talk. Just us. No drama. Just family. Just family. I almost laughed. They picked a restaurant I knew too well. Neutral. Soft lights. No sharp edges. The kind of place that doesn't ask questions when someone starts crying during dessert. I walked in exactly on time. Jessica, Mom, Dad. All seated. Napkins folded. Menus untouched. Like they'd rehearsed. Jessica wore white. Symbolism, I guess. Dad looked like he'd been dragged there. Jaw clenched. Shirt too crisp for someone who never ironed. Mom tried to smile. That brittle hostage smile she used when things were about to go bad, and she was pretending they weren't. I sat. Didn't greet anyone. Jessica, of course, started first. Her voice, sweet, practiced. I know we've had some tension. Things got twisted, but I just want to say... A pause. A glance at Mom. I forgive you. I blinked. Forgive me? Then Dad leaned forward, his voice low, gritted. Let's stop this nonsense. We're not perfect, okay? But you made this ugly. You didn't have to burn everything down. Mom reached out, touched my wrist. We're your family. We make mistakes, but that doesn't mean you destroy people. I sat in silence. Then I pulled out my tablet. I brought something. Jessica flinched, like I'd pulled a knife. I tapped the screen, mirroring it to the little TV above the bar. I'd called ahead. The waiter looked confused, then curious. Everyone in the restaurant could see it now. I didn't care. Slide 1. Screenshots. From Jessica's email to the event planner. He doesn't need to be invited. He'll pay regardless. From Dad's message to Uncle. As long as the boy pays, I'll let him think he matters. From Mom's DM to Jessica. Just delete his name from the RSVP. We'll say it was a glitch. Gasps from the table, next to us. They kept watching. Slide 2. Audio files. I played one. A voice memo Jessica sent to her friend. The one she thought I'd never hear. Her voice, clear as glass. He's obsessed with being needed. All I have to do is cry and say, but you're the only one who can help. And he opens his wallet. Laughter in the background. Jessica's face turned chalk white. Slide 3. Bank statements. 10 months of transfers. All from me. To her. To Mom. To Dad. No refunds. No thanks. Just the word handled next to each one. Then I dropped the final piece. This is Jeremy, I said, as a tall man stepped out from the corner. Jessica's ex. She froze. He walked to the table, calm, professional, holding a folder. He opened it and said one sentence. Jessica, I told you if you ever did this to anyone else, I'd speak. He laid down documents. Messages she faked during their breakup. The evidence she fabricated to frame him for harassment. A transcript from her laptop, a document literally titled Plan B, How to Ruin Him. He turned to my parents. She's been doing this for years. You enabled it. You ignored it. And now you've used your son the same way. Silence fell. Heavy. Suffocating. My father stood. Get out. You're not part of this family. I stood too. You're right. I took a deep breath. I'm not. I turned to the room. People were openly watching now. My name is Eli. I paid for this family's survival for 3 years. Rent, credit, groceries, medical bills, car insurance, cake, chairs, champagne, 72 guests. I pointed to Jessica. She deleted me from the guest list. My own sister. My name was never missing. It was removed. I looked at my mother. You called that an accident and said, relax. We saved you leftovers. She opened her mouth, but nothing came out. I leaned in close, stared straight into my father's eyes. You said, I made my choice. You're right again. I pulled a small envelope from my coat and dropped it on the table. This is the cease and desist. You are not to use my name, image, financials, or anything associated with me in any business, personal or public communication. Violate it and I'll sue. And I'll win. I turned to leave. Dad grabbed my arm. You think this makes you powerful. I shook him off. No, it just makes me free. And then, as I walked away, I stopped at the bar, looked at the waiter, and nodded to the screen still showing the evidence. Leave it up for 5 more minutes. Sure thing, he said. They expected a storm, a meltdown, maybe another dramatic voicemail or a long, angry message at 2 a.m. They were ready for rage, for screaming, slamming doors, or a social media post they could dismiss as emotional. But rage is loud, and I had something better. Silence. The first thing I killed was the number. The one they had called every time Jessica's rent was due, or Dad's truck broke down, or Mom forgot to pay the electric bill. The number that answered emergencies, real or fake, gone. Disconnected. The next time they tried it, they got a calm, recorded voice. This number is no longer in service. I imagine Mom blinking at her phone, tapping it twice, like maybe she dialed it wrong. She didn't. I had already signed the paperwork for a new phone, a new plan, a new encrypted device with no shared cloud access, no location tracking, no family plan. The digital umbilical cord severed. Then I went after the money. I logged into my bank accounts and began the cleanse. Jessica's emergency rent auto transfer deleted. Mom's Amazon Prime canceled. Dad's PayPal, which I discovered was quietly linked to my backup credit card, revoked. I flagged suspicious login attempts going back 8 months. Jessica had signed into my savings account at 2:14 a.m. one night in December. Then again in February, while I was asleep on a flight to Denver. I called the bank. This is unauthorized access. I want to report it as fraud. They took it seriously. They froze the account, escalated it to the investigation team, and scheduled a follow-up interview with their fraud unit. Then I pulled the pin on the mortgage. 3 years ago, I co-signed so my parents wouldn't lose the house. They called it temporary. Now it was permanent. They had never refinanced. They never even checked if my name was still listed. I called the mortgage company. I want to initiate removal as co-owner. The woman on the phone hesitated. Is this due to a separation? I said yes, a complete one. She informed me that a reassessment would be required. If my parents couldn't qualify for the full loan, they would need to refinance or risk default. I didn't flinch. Understood. Proceed. Then I turned to the documents I had saved under a folder named, in case they burn it all down. I always assumed I'd never need it, but here we were. Inside, Dad's VA grant application with falsified information, a forged DD-214 form, screenshots of Jessica asking for my login just for a quick check, emails where Mom forwarded my pay stub to a friend who turned out to be their financial planner. I scanned it all, sent it to my lawyer with one sentence. Activate everything. He didn't ask for clarification. He never needed to. 2 hours later, the cease and desist letters were on their way, certified, notarized, and printed on thick ivory paper that screamed final. Each envelope said the same. Effective immediately, you are to cease any use of my name, likeness, financial identity, or digital data. Further contact will be considered harassment and responded to legally. Then I made the last call to the VA fraud department. An anonymous tip attached files an anonymized report, enough to trigger a preliminary audit. By the next morning, they were already looking into Dad's records, quietly, just as I wanted. While they were still figuring out how to reach me, I signed a lease in Chicago. The loft wasn't big, but it was clean, sunlit, and 5 states away from their dysfunction. I wired the deposit, booked the movers, confirmed remote work with my company. Then I did something I never thought I'd do. I shut down the bakery site. Yes, the same one I paid for, the one with the family photos and our sweet legacy story written by Jessica. I logged in, changed the password, replaced the homepage with one line of text. This domain is no longer available. That was it. No rant, no revenge post, just silence. Strategic, surgical, silence. 3 days later, Jessica tried reaching me through an old friend. She texted him, "Please, I just need to talk to him. Tell him it's not about money." It always was. Mom sent a handwritten letter. No envelope, just folded paper. Shaky cursive. "You hurt us too. You went too far. Dad isn't well. We're family. That has to mean something." I didn't reply. I shredded it, slowly, stripped it into tiny, silent pieces. Then came the legal threat. A letter from some local attorney, probably a guy Dad found online. It accused me of malicious disruption of family-owned property and emotional harm. My lawyer read it, smirked, and filed it under desperate. "They don't have a case," he said. "They just want a reaction." They weren't going to get one. That Sunday, I moved into the loft, put my one suitcase down in the middle of the empty room, opened the only box labeled for after. Inside, my own framed high school diploma, a photo of me at 12 on a hiking trail, alone, and the bottle of wine I bought for the anniversary party. I poured a glass, sat by the window, looked at the city. No screaming, no calls, no guilt, just space. And this time it was mine. It took me 3 weeks to feel silence as peace instead of punishment. The first nights in Chicago, I kept checking my phone. Instinct, muscle memory. No missed calls, no texts, not even spam from Jessica's emergency PayPal. Just nothing. And that nothing, it was beautiful. For the first time in years, I could hear the hum of my own life, the click of the fridge door, the buzz of the city outside, my own footsteps echoing in a hallway that belonged to me. Not once did I reach for them. Not when I saw the photo album in the unpacked box. Not when I passed a bakery that smelled like Mom's weekend pies. Not even when I heard a voicemail from an unknown number and, for half a second, thought it might be my father. It wasn't. It never will be again. What I learned. They didn't break me. They trained me to tolerate betrayal, to mistake guilt for love, to think survival meant loyalty. But here's the thing, I wasn't the problem. I was the supply. And when I cut that off, they called it cruelty. They always do, because people who build their lives around using you will call your boundaries attacks. Dad taught me that discipline is humiliation dressed in a suit. Mom taught me that silence is complicity. Jessica taught me that family is a word people weaponize when they're caught stealing from you. And I finally taught myself to leave. A week ago, I got a letter. No name on the envelope, no return address. Inside, just a photo. Me and Jessica as kids, sitting in the backyard, popsicles in hand, tape holding a torn corner. On the back, written in rushed cursive, "You really going to throw this away?" No signature, but I didn't need one. I looked at the photo for exactly 5 seconds. Then I folded it once slowly and dropped it into the shredder. The same hands that had sent it once deleted me from a guest list like I was clutter. I don't keep clutter anymore. I built something since then. Not a company, not a comeback, just a life that feels like mine. Small things matter now. Buying groceries without wondering whose fridge they'll go into. Paying rent without scanning for overdrafts because Jessica needed another loan. Sleeping without a backup alarm for when Dad forgets to pick up his prescription. My mornings are quiet. My wallet is mine. My voice doesn't tremble anymore when I say no. And in that stillness, I've realized something deeper than revenge. I don't want an apology. I want absence. This morning, I wrote one final letter. No emotion. No venom. Just facts. I sealed it, slid in a copy of the house keys. The originals were long gone. But I wanted the gesture to land. I mailed it to the address I used to call home. The note inside read, "Keys returned. Family not included." No forwarding address. I don't know what face Dad made when he opened it. I don't know what Jessica screamed. I don't know whether Mom cried or just stared. And for the first time in my life, I can say this with certainty. I don't care. They don't get to call me dramatic or ungrateful or selfish. They had their chance. They buried it beneath debt and silence and shame and thought I wouldn't dig it up. They were wrong. So here's the truth, loud and clear. I'm not a villain. I'm not a savior. I'm not broken, bitter, or waiting for closure. I am gone, and they are not coming with me. Let the silence speak louder than my words. Let them toast to their lies. Let them scroll, stalk, whisper, guess. Because the one thing they'll never get again? Access. The last time I saw my old phone, I held it in my hand for a moment. I could still feel the echoes of them in its weight. Late-night pings, guilt texts, voicemail landmines. Then I dropped it in a drawer, locked it, and walked out the door. Not with rage, not with tears, with freedom. That's the real ending. No fireworks, no fight, just the soft, undeniable truth. So, tell me, what would you have done if your family treated you like an ATM and then tried to erase you? Have you ever had to choose between your peace and family? I'm genuinely curious to hear your thoughts in the comments below.